The Full Melt Show is intended for a mature audience. It contains adult themes, adult content, and sometimes adult language. Listener discretion is advised.
Full Melt.
It worked in rehearsal. See, what it was supposed to do, really? It was supposed to do this right here.
A federal court ruling about gun sales to medical marijuana patients is prompting some questions about the laws here in Nevada. News 4's Olivia DeGeneiro joins us now. And Olivia, this case actually originated here in the Silver State.
That's right, Joe. Back in 2011, a Nevada woman was denied the right to buy a gun because she identified as a medical marijuana patient. Well, just yesterday, a federal court ruled against her, upholding the ban on gun sales to marijuana users.
Firearms are a federally controlled substance. A lot of people don't recognize that, but they are.
And under federal law, medical marijuana is still illegal.
It's just showing marijuana's illicit nature on a federal level. If you're a Schedule I drug, you're thought of as not having any medical benefit, even though we clearly know it does. We have a medical marijuana program that shows that. So there's another conflict between state and federal law.
In this case, the Nevada Medical Marijuana Association director says the law discriminates against patients in Nevada.
She wants the right to protect herself, and she shouldn't have to lose that just because she also wants the ability to medicate properly with medical marijuana instead of turning to opioids or alcohol, which are far more dangerous.
But how do gun dealers know if someone is a medical marijuana patient? I took that question to the owner of Maccabee Arms.
I need to follow the guidelines of the ATF and the 4470 form.
And one section of that form asks, are you an unlawful user or addicted to marijuana?
If you have a marijuana card, for the federal government, you're still an unlawful user. The federal government does not recognize the state's right to issue those cards.
If medical marijuana patients lie, they commit perjury.
Every offense you do that pertains to firearms by federal law is a minimum of 10 years in federal penitentiary and up to $250,000 fine per count.
And if patients tell the truth, they cannot purchase a firearm.
A state like Nevada, where you go through a state registry and you get a DMV card, and it's a very official process, it's one where a lot of people feel at risk if they did say no and they are part of the medical marijuana system because it could show up on a background check, they feel.
I asked a representative at the state office for the medical marijuana program if that's true. She told me she could see no reason why a person's marijuana prescription would show up on a background check. And even if a person did lie about their marijuana use when trying to purchase a gun,
I will dare you to try and do a little research and see how many people have actually been indicted or prosecuted in the state of Nevada.
not many.
The system doesn't work. The laws are there. It's not being enforced.
Now, Wednesday's court ruling affects states across the West Coast, including California, Oregon, Washington, and of course Nevada. And an interesting note, California does not require its medical marijuana patients to register with that state, so it's likely a marijuana prescription would not show up on a background check there either. Back to you.
It's the Full Metal Show.
Are you high? What are you talking about?
This is the Full Melt.
Give me a break.
The Full Melt Show. A marijuana discussion about news, culture, politics, and lifestyle. TheFullMelt.com.
Hey, hello, welcome to another edition of the Full Melt Show. Today is September 2nd, 2016, a Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Not with us today is the Mad Blaster. Today's just going to be flying solo with a Joe Brown update. That's a Butters update coming up at the end of the show. Gotta get one of those in and find out what the recipe is for the fall. Where's that thing going there? Out in West Michigan. You know, it's really odd. You know, it's a little crazy that the same people that, you know, are all about the Second Amendment, right? And look, I'm all for Second Amendment rights. The question is, I suppose that the larger question is, what does it really mean anymore? And what I mean by that is this. If you're just ordinary, everyday Joe citizen, minding your own business, you ain't got no criminal background, You got any mental health problems. You're not, pledging allegiance to the ISIS or whatever the hell they are. Seems like they kind of morph into different things all the time. Same group of people, same ideas, still blowing up stuff. Somebody ought to get them like a chemistry set or something. Make some colors and mix things together and learn how things are great in chemistry without explosions. Just saying. So, if you're just one of those guys, everyday, ordinary, law-abiding Joe citizen or Jane citizen, one would assume under the Second Amendment, at least, recent court rulings, etc., that you've got a right to own a gun, provided you pass a background check, which, given that scenario, you should be allowed, entitled, under the Second Amendment, to have a gun, a firearm. Now, if you look at the larger question, you'd have to answer yourself this. Why, in the first place, did the founders include a clause in the Constitution, a civil right protection, that says, as the Second Amendment to the Constitution, you have a right to a gun? It says right in there. It says it right in there. The question is already answered in the amendment. It says so that, and I'm not quoting it directly, but basically what it says is, and I guess I could quote it. You want to quote it directly? I can do that. Basically, the gist of it is, and if you read it liberally, or if you construe it conservatively, it says basically the same thing. You can't really change the face of the. I'm just going to type it. There you go. Do. And also it says in there, I know this part says not to be abridged. Right? You're not allowed to take away your right to a gun. The Second Amendment of the Constitution of the United States reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Now, the whole idea here is that you don't want to be in a situation, or at least as we left Great Britain and became America 200 plus years ago, that it wasn't a cool idea that the Brits could just come over and take your weapons away and force quarter their soldiers in your barn and in your house. You might have to stay in the barn while they're, having their way with your house. Got to feed them. They took your guns away. Now have it. Hey, we're the authorities here, and you can't have any guns. You might shoot at us. We don't want to be dead. So when we wrote the Constitution for the United States, we decided that we didn't want to put up with none of that nonsense bullpucky. It's just a load of crap. The idea that a government would deny you your ability to protect and defend yourself against a government gone awry, against a government that decided that it didn't want to. They've got some weapons, they can come and fire them at you, and you've got the ability to fire back. But we're talking the late 1700s when this thing is written. Right? I mean, this is a long time ago. And the technology included in military weaponry and the amount of money we've spent on military weaponry is immense. I mean, it's a lot of what we do here in this country. And we are definitely military leaders of the world. If we really wanted to strong-arm anybody anywhere, we probably could get away with it. Might makes right, right? Good Lord. We become to. But the point is this. If you've got Hellfire missiles coming down on your house, your small arms fire is not going to do you a damn bit of good. And that's my larger point. You're arguing about stuff that happened 200 years ago. In fact, the Constitution was really meant to be amended from time to time. The whole Constitution, not just the amendments. Like you were supposed to, the founders crafted room that I believe they interpreted the idea that people would go back and have new constitutional conventions. All the states would get together and go, you know what? Things have changed a little bit, and we've got to modify the Constitution for the times. It's never happened. Never happened. Not once in American history. So one would think that if truly you wanted to have a well-regulated militia, right? States' right to people's right to bear arms shall not be infringed. Yet here in this country, we've got this legal set of rules that tends to bend and distort and twist the Constitution for some special interest need. And I'm just saying that the people in the executive branch of our government who insist on saying that you, as a marijuana card user, as a medical marijuana patient, and I would assume this would go for anybody that is has anything to do with cannabis in California or in Oregon or in specifically Colorado, where the right to bear arms is part of like every person's daily fare out there in the West. You'll see people carrying firearms everywhere, and nobody gives a boo. But if you do that and you happen to have some medical weed, watch out. Chicken Little says the sky's going to fall. For crying out loud, you're violating the federal law. You got a Schedule I substance, which we don't recognize any medical benefit to, even though none of the underscoring of that position has ever been made or taken to light. Michelle Leonhardt goes up in front of Congress and says, marijuana is just as dangerous as heroin. She made a fool out of herself and the federal government in front of congressmen who are grilling her. I still want to say that marijuana is somehow dangerous and a threat to society. And now they want to say, according to today's court ruling, or this court ruling that really happened, I think, on Wednesday, that you can't have your guns and your weed too. You just can't do it. You have no Second Amendment rights, Mr. and Mrs. Joe America. And I'm saying that you start whittling away people's rights in the Constitution. Unless, especially if you're one of these people who's disenfranchised with your government. Screw it, I'm not voting for Trump, and I'm not voting for Hillary, and I don't care who you put up there. I just don't trust them. There's a good reason not to trust them. Your government is corrupt as fuck. More coming up on the Medical Marijuana Edition.
You're getting the full melt.
If you missed the last Full Melt show,
you missed a lot.
There's King Tut. You know why I wanted to bring up King Tut? But they actually dug up in Russia some ancient bongs. They're like 2,400 years old.
Yes, that's fucking awesome.
They're golden.
Oh, my God.
2 ancient golden bongs found in the Arctic tundra of Russia.
They were getting high, man. Yeah.
And I guess they traced it back to the early tribes that populated, the Russian tundra. Those tribes used to war against each other, and they would get high on the opium and the cannabis before going to war. Go figure. I'm just saying, there's somebody was selling golden bongs. And get your golden bongs here, golden bongs. It had to be really hard back in those days to come up with gold, except for maybe Colombian gold.
Oh, my God.
Hey, the trade winds are blowing smoke in your face.
Imagine a world where patients can use marijuana like any other medicine. The Marijuana Patients Organization challenges the status quo by helping our neighbors to enjoy a better quality of life. Visit the MPO at marijuanapatients.org and enjoy informative articles, engaging debates, and information about treatments, doctors, and dispensaries in your area. Over 50,000 people have registered at marijuanapatients.org since 2010. Join us at the Marijuana Patients Organization today, marijuanapatients.org.
When you need legal help, you don't want to guess at who's standing next to you in court. And when it comes to a medical marijuana defense, it's even smarter to partner with a lawyer before you need one. based in Royal Oak. David Rudoy has a proven history of not being afraid to take your case all the way to the Supreme Court and win. Find the law offices of Rudoy Law
at RudoyLaw.com.
RudoyLaw.com is a quick reference on your rights concerning Michigan medical marijuana
and up-to-date news.
That's RUDOI Law.com. Call 248-935-9074 now and talk about your legal needs, because at RudoyLaw.com, we don't just stand up for you, we stand up with you.
What's up with these things, Victor?
We decided to give ourselves stickers for each feature we release.
We read about 10,000 suggestions a week to create features that, as traders, we'd want to use.
10,000 suggestions? Who reads all of those?
He does.
For all the confidence you need, TD Ameritrade, you got this.
Wish your skin could bounce back like it used to? Neutrogena Hydro Boost Water Gel instantly quenches skin to keep it supple and hydrated day after day. With hydrating hyaluronic acid, which retains up to 1,000 times its weight in water. This refreshing water gel plumps skin cells with intense hydration and locks it in.
For supple, hydrated skin that bounces back.
Hydro Boost from Neutrogena.
Your pets aren't just animals, they're members of your family. That's why we are excitedly wagging our tail about our hemp-based product that caters specifically to your best friend. Hemp oil drops are great for aging as well as active dogs and cats, and really all kinds of pets. Hemp well drops are made from virgin, cold-pressed organic hemp oil. Our extraction process ensures the highest quality oil for your pet, with superior taste, smell, and nutrition. We hold ourselves to the highest standards, never using heat, chemicals, or preservatives in making our hemp oil products for pets. Pick up a bottle of Hempwell drops today at select retailers or online at hempwell.com. Hempwell, hemp health for pets.
See what's possible.
It's the Full Melt Radio Show. A little craziness here today. Hey, welcome to the weekend. Oh, you got the big 3-day weekend going on here. Labor Day. How about the Mad Blaster? I feel a little naked without the Mad Blaster up in here. I wasn't feeling a little under the weather. I think it was really probably a case of the end of the summer blues. I think that's what he's got, that bug. Probably on vacation. He's probably sitting somewhere at camping right now. Perhaps listening, perhaps not listening. Laughing. I'm just saying. I hope you feel better, Matt. No, yeah, somehow. If you were here, then you could. There's this nice cannabis. This would be nice. This would probably help you feel better. I'm just saying. So, what are you doing this holiday weekend? What's happening? Usually, I do go up and do the bridge walk up in the Straits of Mackinac. Going across the Mackinac Bridge. It's the only day of the year that you're allowed to actually be a pedestrian on the bridge. There's 4 lanes of road that go across the Mackinac Bridge, built in like the 50s. I think they finished in, 55, something like that? It was at the time the largest bridge of its type. Largest suspension bridge in the world, I think, at one point. It's since been eclipsed by several other bridges. But it's a huge span that connects the upper and lower peninsula of Michigan. And it's definitely a 5-mile end-to-end jaunt. It's a good walk. And you've got to have a large bladder if you're going to make it across. That's another issue. I can tell you there's not a single time where I crossed the Mackinac Bridge that I wasn't, there was doing a barrel race to the, the porta potties at the end of the bridge. And you have to go through like the finish line, and it's a place where you get cards, and you can get the little thing stamped that says I walked the Mackinac Bridge, and you got to take it to the post office and give you a stamp and put on. I know it's weird, but it's kind of fun. And we always go up there as a part of the medical marijuana community, the cannabis community here in Michigan, at Michigan Normal, Brad Forrester and Matt Abel and all those guys. We all go up and walk the bridge, and it's always a good time. We certainly have a good chance to meet up with people. It's an end-of-the-year run for most people. And then I think people start to look forward to some fall events, which has really recently come along. I know there's a Harvest Fest that happens around here. I think there's another Cup event somebody's putting on somewhere. And I think there is yet to come, of course, Daboween. Locally here in the Michigan area, or the Michigan scene. Now, there are some things happening around the rest of the country. And I don't, I'm not playing this weekend into this point, but it is a larger point to be made. I've been keeping my eye very close to Ohio and Pennsylvania, both because of their proximity to this state and also because they are new states coming on in the medical marijuana scene. Ohio passing legislatively its own program. Toledo specifically writing its, what is it? I forget the acronym for it. I think it's no jail, no fines. It's NFND or NJ, NFNJ. No fines, no jail. That is coming into effect here in just a few days. Now, there has been some confusion about the point of whether or not you can bring, since that's changing here, since the medical marijuana law is changing in Ohio, whether or not you could come to Michigan, because it's going to be like 2 years before dispensaries come online there. It's going to take a while. It took Florida a while, and they're only doing cannabis oil, for crying out loud. They're just doing the low THC, high CBD oil, which it's just a drop in the bucket when it comes to what it can be remedied with. Well, how well can you take just this one little portion of the plant? And it's really, it placates to the whole idea that, these kids with seizures ought to have this as an option, given that it seems to be very effective. Well, isn't that an ambition that medical marijuana has legitimate medical value? Even if it is just placating to the kid thing? Because before it was all about danger to kids. Now it's like, oh, well, we're going to give cannabis to kids. Well, wasn't that your initial scream in the first place, you prohibitionists? I mean, you want to cry that the camel's nose is under the tent, but really, haven't you just made admission that there is no tent? There's no reason to be a tent. There's no division between, you and us. And this whole cannabis thing is all about social disenfranchisement. Is that a word? It's disenfranchising the poor people. It's disenfranchising people of color. It's social control is what it is. And it's more than that. It's a source of revenue, a giant hidden source of taxation. We don't have to take it out of your tax your wallet if we can take it from them. And you know what, policeman? You don't need to worry about the rapists. You don't need to worry about the robbers. You don't need to worry about, the people shooting up people. Unless it's one of those crazy mall situations, don't really worry about all that. Those cases can sit cold on the desk and nobody cares. They're dead already. They've already been raped. It's too late. You can't save them. I mean, what the hell kind of thinking is that? How many rape cases have to sit on desks and shelves in storage facilities because you don't want to spend the money to run the frickin' test? Well, we don't need to worry about prosecuting somebody who's running around jamming their penis into people anonymously at night while they're sleeping. Don't need to worry about that guy. What the hell is wrong with you? Why would you, as policemen, choose to ignore that and choose not to work those murder cases and go out there and chase down a couple of guys with a bag of weed? Why? Well, you know the answer to that, don't you, Mr. Policeman? You know that answer, don't you? Well, we get to take your car, and we get to take your bank account, and all your kids' stuff, anything that's really expensive. If you're really good to your kids, we're going to take all that. We're going to take all their bank accounts. We're going to freeze all your assets, and then we're going to demand that you pay 20% of whatever the value of it is that we confiscated from you. We're going to demand a 20% surety bond in order for you to even go to court to try and claim and make the argument back that somehow your property wasn't involved in a crime. Because that's what they're going to make you do here in Michigan. Many places around the country, much the same. Michigan just seems to be the red-headed bastard stepchild for this kind of thing because the blood-sucking people at the government, the same people that destroyed Flint's water supply, the same people that made a big deal out of building another bridge to Canada. Christ, we've already got, excuse me, I didn't mean to be blasphemous. We've already got the stupid Ambassador Bridge, and then you've got a tunnel, and then there's the Blue Water Bridge just a few miles away. But somehow one of the principal things the governor here wanted to take care of and get done is another bridge to Canada. The Snyder Bridge. There's my legacy, Michigan. Bridge to Canada. And then there's already another bridge being built, like right next to the Ambassador Bridge. Like, we need 4 bridges? Really? Do we need that? Wouldn't that time and attention be better spent paying attention to what the hell's happening in Flint? Or not screwing the people in Detroit who used to work for a government and have pensions? I'll bet your pension didn't go away, Mr. Governor. I'll bet none of those state legislators, which are making, probably 4 times what the average citizen in the whole country, the mean income for the United States, probably 4 or 5 times that amount, just as a paycheck from the state. Now, you guys are all about smaller government. You're all about not raising taxes, even though the cost of things went up. Even though more people every year are using these goods and services, like the roads. Oh, the road debacle. Don't even get me going on potholes. Seriously? We have to leverage a social drug policy issue in order to get you to patch the frickin' roads? I mean, it's embarrassing going across Michigan's roads. It looks like we're in, parts of communist Russia. Pre the end of Boris Yeltsin. We're not a failed state. We're just a very fucked up one. And it's only because this is what unbridled greed does. It corrupts. And this is why we have checks and balances in our government. For crying out loud, this is the biggest thing that our forefathers, the founders of our Constitution, the people who created the framework of this country, everything we hold dear to ourselves, all of our civil rights, all the things that we believe in as Americans are enshrined in that document. Yet, we let government get away with stuff like this. It's absolutely shameful. And I think most people listening to me or not listening to me now would agree with that position. The police should be held more accountable. That police are not members of the frickin' military. There's a reason you're called a paramilitary organization. It's because you have military-like structure, but you're not the military. That's what that prefix to military means. Do you understand what para means? If you're a paramedic, you're like the pre-medic. You're like the guy that comes and just patches things up until the real doctor gets there. You're not the military. And in fact, if you were the military, you would be forbidden to use your powers and forces against your own citizens. So stop acting like you left just Afghanistan. Like it was just in the rearview mirror. And now you're coming to some new insurgents in this crazy city that you got a job in. Now, I appreciate if you're an ex-soldier and you've come home and you needed to get a job and they employed you in the police department, but you can't run around knocking skulls like you were in Afghanistan because it's a whole different job. One is soldier, instrument of death. Another is Mr. Citizen Policeman. Get over yourselves. Stop pretending that you need to have marijuana in order to be whole as a police department. You do not. There are better ways to do community policing and to be active members in the community and have a vested role in the safety and security of your surroundings as a police officer than coming into a city that you don't even live in and try and express yourself like you're a damn soldier. You left that behind when you left the Middle East. And you need to be understanding. And perhaps some of your friends who come home and need service dogs, or they need some medical marijuana to treat their PTSD, for crying out loud, maybe you can talk to them and understand why you shouldn't be busting up people with a little bit of pot. Because it's such a waste of our time, and I don't care if it makes your department money. There are better ways to get it than that. So we'll step off of that soapbox for a second, because this is a holiday weekend, and I was really planning on yucking it up with the Mad Blaster, but that just isn't going to happen today. So I would invite you to call. You ready for the number? Because I'm going to dig it up for you. It is 248, and then it's going to be followed by 278, and then 8067. 248-278-8067. If you're the Mad Blaster and you're listening, maybe you should call in and represent with all that sick voice. And the answer to that question is, I don't know what you want from me. That's your line. Like, you got to say your line. The spotlight came on, there's an X on the floor, and there's no you. All right, I'm done busting chops. What else is going on? So I'm doing maybe the bridge walk. Maybe, I don't know. The tires are a little thin. I'm a little concerned about driving that far. I wanted to drive up to my friend Chad Morrow's, it's not a pre-trial. What it is it was some motion hearings about his involvement up there in the medical marijuana community. And it would have been very exciting for me to sit in that courtroom as court support for Chad and to watch his attorney, the Spitfire Neil Rockind, wager his position against a shaky prosecutor. Because everybody shakes when they come up against Neil Rockind. He will leave no stone unturned. He will not leave a stone unturned. He will find every groove and every crevice. He will make sure that the butt cheeks of these policemen have been completely flossed. He will know exactly what to do when he gets those people on the stand. And I would have been very excited to have a chance to go up there today, but I didn't know about this hearing until it was a little too late in the day, and I would have never made it in time to hear those words. I would have only got there for the aftermath, and then very, very disappointed for the long drive home, because that is a multi-hour journey. And it would have been probably back-to-back with a Monday trip just north of Gaylord by about 30 minutes to the Mackinac Bridge. So it would have been another big ride. I've been flying around this state, I'm telling you, like a witch on a broomstick. And I intend to keep flying around as much as possible, assisting every cannabis warrior, every medical marijuana advocate and patient and caregiver and dispensary owner across this great Michigan state of ours. See you on the other side.
You're getting the full melt.
If you missed the last Full Melt show,
you missed a lot.
In Sanilac County, the police took plants that just got cut down, took the big stalks, went and laid them out, dried them out, and then trimmed up the marijuana and put it into jars and used that against somebody in the court of law. So it's like, we're paying police officers to trim marijuana now.
For their pretend caregivers. They got on their little maid's outfits, and they got their little gloves on, and their little scissors, and they're all happy, playing with the weed.
The Full Melt Show is live 7 to 8 Eastern on thefullmelt.com.
Attention. Get ready to write down a very important number.
Michael does not know how to fail. Second place is loser.
If you have a medical marijuana case and need legal representation, call the best, attorney Michael Comorn.
He's very passionate in the courtroom.
Getting the best outcome requires quick legal action, and it needs to start with one call, toll-free to attorney Michael Comorn. 800-656-3557. Write it down, 800-656-3557.
Michael Comorn gave us our life back.
Attorney Michael Comorn. Vigorous criminal defense.
Ram trucks are reaching new heights when it comes to capability and efficiency. The Ram Heavy Duty is the most capable full-size pickup on the road today. And the Ram 1500 is the most fuel-efficient full-size pickup ever. So what does that mean? It means Ram trucks are built for the long haul. Ram, America's longest-lasting pickups.
RootMetrics, in the nation's largest independent study, tested wireless performance across the country. Verizon won big with 153 state wins. AT&T got 38, Sprint got 2, and T-Mobile got 0. Verizon also won first in the U.S. for data, call, speed, and reliability. AT&T got text. Stuck on an average network? Join Verizon, and we'll cover your cost to switch.
Introducing Sacred Elements, a place for natural and alternative healing for the mind, body, and soul. Sacred Elements. It's one place, all solutions.
Registered, licensed, certified, ordained.
Sacred Elements.
Massage, hypnosis, Reiki.
Sacred Elements.
Raindrop, aroma and color therapy, body detox, ministry, life coaching, weight and nutrition counseling.
Sacred Elements. Next to the Sweet Leaf, 400 South Dorr Highway, Flint.
11 to 7 daily, closed Sunday.
Call 810-259-2570.
Play-Doh Compound can help kids practice communication skills. Start by presenting the visual of the letter or word. Then ask them to mold the Play-Doh compound into the shape of the letters. It's an effective way to foster speech and even writing.
Hey, it's Steve Green for the Sweet Leaf in Flint, because now getting safe access to medical cannabis patients in Flint, Michigan is never more welcoming. Presenting the Sweet Leaf, a brand new patient experience, bringing 12 carefully selected caregivers housed in 9 separate offices to distinctly assist you with their knowledge and reputation for excellent patient care. Classes and training coming soon in the large community room. Check it out in person, 400 South Dorr Highway, or call 810-259-2571. The Sweet Leaf Center in Flint, 810-259-2571.
My name is Kubo.
When people say Kubo, they're talking about the best animated movie of the year.
Whoa, show off.
Kubo is captivating.
You got my attention.
Kubo is charming.
Don't even. Grumpy monkey.
Kubo is an unforgettable adventure that will delight fans of all ages.
Like me?
Yes! Oh boy.
Kubo, in theaters and Real D3D, rated PG.
It's the Full Melt Radio Show.
Radio show.
All my friends are heathens.
Yeah, boy. All right, now this is a little bit off topic, but it was a news story today that I thought particularly heartening to the group which I serve. That's you, the listener. And although, yes, we're all people that are, I guess, at some level or another, active in the cannabis community, I would hope that would be the case. I would hope that some people, maybe who weren't active in the cannabis community or had some, I don't know, prohibitionist underpinnings, might get their thoughts changed about the craziness we have as drug policy in these United States. And I say that as a proud American. I say that as a guy who stands up and puts my hand across my chest and takes off my hat and respects the flag as the national anthem is being played, wherever it may happen. I have national pride. But the line gets drawn when you start taking freedom from people. And when, as governments, you do things that hurt people with stupid frivolity. Let me just give you an example. This today by Dominique Mosbergen. It's Mosbergen. Dominique Mosbergen from the Huffington Post writes this headline. It's shocking. South Carolina accidentally kills millions of honeybees with Zika spraying. The quote directly under that headline is the following. There was no need for a bee suit Monday morning to go down there because there was no activity. It was silent. It was quieter than usual in parts of Dorchester County, South Carolina on Monday. Silence had replaced the familiar buzz as millions of the usual noisemakers lay silent on the ground, dead. It was an unanticipated massacre, collateral damage in the war against the Zika virus. County officials have been targeting mosquitoes when they blanketed a 15-square-mile area with pesticide on Sunday, but they ended up killing at least 2.5 million honeybees as well. It was like visiting a cemetery. Pure sadness, wrote one woman who walked through an affected apiary on Monday. More than 40 travel-related cases of Zika have been reported to South Carolina authorities, including 4 cases in Dorchester County. Concerned about the potential spread of the disease, county officials launched aerial mosquito spraying operations over the weekend. A first for the county, which typically sprays pesticides from the ground using trucks. Officials used the insecticide, probably in a bad way. Though commonly employed for mosquito control, Naled is this what they sprayed, is known to be toxic to honeybees, and according to the Environmental Protection Agency, can pose some risk to aquatic and terrestrial wildlife. To protect honeybees, the EPA suggests spraying Naled between dusk and dawn, while bees are not typically foraging. But in Dorchester County, the spraying was conducted between 6:30 in the morning and 8:30 in the morning. And you know what's going on right then? The honeybees are suckling off those flowers. Any person who's gotten up early in the morning and went out by the flowers knows that as soon as the sun is starting to rise, those bees are on those flowers collecting food for the day. It's just so sad. County officials said they followed manufacturer instructions, which had recommended application no more than 2 hours after sunrise to minimize hazard to bees. The morning after the spraying, the beekeepers in the area were stunned to discover the deadly impact of the chemical. There was no need for a bee suit Monday morning to go down there because there was no activity. It was silent. Juanita Stanley, whose apiary Flowertown bee farm was the worst hit in the spraying, told the New York Times. Honestly, I fell to the ground. I just fell to the ground. I was crying, and I couldn't quit crying, and I was throwing up. Stanley estimated that the pesticide killed 2.5 million of her bees. No one called me about the aerial spraying. Nobody told me at all, she told CNN through tears. I would have been screaming and pleading on their doorstep if they had. Do it at night when the bees are done foraging. I would have told them. But they sprayed at 8 o'clock a.m. Sunday, and all of my bees were out doing their work by then. County officials apologized for the unintentional massacre. Really? Oh, we're sorry. County Administrator Jason Ward said he was not pleased that so many bees were killed. He explained that the county had attempted to inform the public about the spraying through social media and the local press. Officials had also reached out to most local beekeepers to alert them about the plans. Really? Most of them? Stanley's apiary, however, had been overlooked after a county employee failed to call her business, Ward said. We've learned that the beekeeping community in Dorchester County, and in that area in particular, is larger than we were aware of, he added. Many local beekeeping hobbyists said they were also caught unaware by the spraying. My wife called a short time after the flyover and said, "We have a mass killing." Andrew Mackey, who had 2 hives, told the Post and Courier, "We have thousands and thousands of bees dead all around our pool deck and our driveway, just everywhere." Ward said the county would try to reimburse Stanley's business for its loss and would ramp up efforts to collect the contact information of all beekeepers in the area, professional and otherwise. I can assure you that having a better relationship with the beekeeping community is paramount in avoiding this type of situation, he told the Post and Courier. In the wake of the beekeeping deaths in South Carolina, experts stressed the importance of safeguarding pollinators, even while trying to control mosquito populations, something that many increasingly critical as Zika cases across the country and worldwide rise. Some pesticides are less toxic to bees, for example, and spraying at the right time of the day is important. I think this shows how easy it is to forget the best practices when faced with emerging issues. And killing bees is probably not the biggest impact. A beekeeping researcher at the University of Maryland told the Times. If you're killing honeybees, you're killing a lot of other non-honeybee pollinators too, and those populations could take a long time to recover. To me, at the end of the day, this is just plain inexcusable. I mean, I don't care what your county budget is. I really don't. I don't care that you promised to pay these people back for the loss of their bees. I also, no fucks given. I also don't care about any other excuses that you might want to apply to the situation. You may have governmental immunity, but you don't have common sense. You may have a job tomorrow, but you wouldn't if you did this in any other business. And it is shameful and regretful that we have to hang this on your collar, that this is an albatross around your neck. Many people just don't understand, and I don't know why they don't, because this is basic information. This is basic human information about how important the pollinators of our world are. If you took out just the honeybees as pollinators, and we're talking insects of many other types are pollinators, but the most efficient, the most driven are the honeybees of the world. Those are the ones that we hive up. And the reason we have apiaries is not because we so enjoy honey, although that's a great side effect of having an apiary. It's the fact that you need these bees to do the will of your orchard in growing its fruit for the season. You can't have an orchard without bees. You will have no fruit. You will have no orange juice. There will be no frozen concentrated orange juice on the stock ticker in the commodities market because there won't be any to be had if you take out the bees. There are lots of other pollinators, birds and bats amongst them, and many other insects, as I said before. But the problem is, we've learned a very long time ago that, or at least it's been hypothesized by many smart people, that if you take the bee pollinators out, if you allow the bee community to collapse in any way, the natural ones or the man-made, the man-propped-up ones, where they have these apiaries, you will lose 25% of the food supply of the world. 25%. Tell me how stable our economies would be. Tell me how stable our borders would be when you start collapsing the food web over bees. I don't care if you're making moonshine in the backyard. I don't. I really don't care. Go make your moonshine. But remember, you toothless whittlers, you can't make your moonshine without honeybees. It's not happening. You gotta have grain. You gotta have fruit. Without them, your liquor is just wood grain alcohol and will make you blind and profit you none. Please take care of the bees.
You're getting the full melt.
Promotional consideration provided by NoSmell.com, pioneering the storage market for cannabis users. The NoSmell patented bag technology offers users 100% smell-proof detection from even the most sophisticated of noses. NoSmell.com, so nobody knows. When placing your order for a NoSmell bag, make sure to use discount code FULLMELT and take 10% off the entire order. Learn more about NoSmell technology at NoSmell.com. If you missed the last Full Melt show,
you missed a lot.
All right, so there's this idiot reporter out in Grand Rapids today. I saw her on a promo for some show she's doing about kids and drugs, and she's interviewing a policewoman and a prosecutor. Check this out.
These things sound like something that like drug addicts would use. Are regular teenagers using butane?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, when you're there, you're seeing kids are you seeing it younger and younger? Are you seeing it used in homes more frequently? What's actually happening?
Okay, that's a...
Is it addictive? Is it something that's going to get a kid in trouble? Can people manage their use?
Well, I mean, I think that's one of the biggest myths.
Again, I just have to take issue with this. Wood TV in Grand Rapids? This lady needs to study up before she sticks a microphone in an official's face and asks an idiot question. When you need legal help, you don't want to guess at who's standing next to you in court. And when it comes to a medical marijuana defense, it's even smarter to partner with a lawyer before you need one. Based in Royal Oak, David Rudoy has a proven history of not being afraid to take your case all the way to the Supreme Court and win. Find the law offices of Rudoy Law
at RudoyLaw.com.
RudoyLaw.com is a quick reference on your rights concerning Michigan medical marijuana
and up-to-date news.
That's RUDOI Law.com. Call 248-935-9074 now and talk about your legal needs, because at RudoyLaw.com, we don't just stand up for you, we stand up with you. Hey, it's Steve Green for the Sweet Leaf in Flint, because now getting safe access to medical cannabis patients in Flint, Michigan is never more welcoming. Presenting the Sweet Leaf, a brand new patient experience bringing 12 carefully selected caregivers housed in 9 separate offices to distinctly assist you with their knowledge and reputation for excellent patient care. Classes and training coming soon in the large community room. Check it out in person, 400 South Door Highway, or call 810-259-2571. The Sweet Leaf Center in Flint, 810-259-2571.
My moderate to severe chronic plaque psoriasis made a simple trip to the grocery store anything but simple. So I had an important conversation with my dermatologist about Humira. He explained that Humira works inside my body to target and help block a specific source of inflammation that contributes to my symptoms. In clinical trials, most adults taking Humira were clear or almost clear, and many saw 75% and even 90% clearance in just 4 months.
Humira can lower your ability to fight infections, including tuberculosis. Serious, sometimes fatal infections and cancers, including lymphoma, have happened, as have blood, liver, and nervous system problems, serious allergic reactions, and new or worsening heart failure. Before treatment, get tested for TB. Tell your doctor if you've been to areas where certain fungal infections are common, and if you've had TB, hepatitis B, are prone to infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Don't start Humira if you have an infection.
Ask about Humira, the #1 prescribed biologic by dermatologists. Clearer skin is possible.
It's the Full Melt Radio Show.
Radio show.
I'm having little success in plugging in the phone, so I'm just going to try it again.
My head is haunting me and my heart feels like it
is indeed time for a Butters Update. Joe Brown, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. How you doing, Steve?
Hey, welcome to the Full Melt Show again. For another hemp farm Butters Update.
Well, it's always a pleasure to be on the show.
Hey, I gotta kind of get a feel for what's happening out there on the hemp farm. I know that you got to be glad that we're in the high pressure zone here and we're not getting rained on like the people on the East Coast this weekend.
Yeah, we're out here right now. We are harvesting coneflower, and we're also harvesting jewel weed, and that's 2 of the main ingredients in our hemp balm. And we're processing literally 1,000 pounds of this stuff.
Well, that's a lot of work.
A lot of work, and we do everything is planted by hand, cut by hand, harvested by hand, and then processed, field processed, just like in the olden days. Field extracting it, double boiling it, and to pull the essential oils out, and then all that goes to the factory in Lowell, and then it's all purified and cleaned over there.
It's a heck of a process.
Oh, it sucks. It sucks. The next, we're on day like 75 of 90 worst days of our season.
Wow. I just did this story about the bees. Did you see they killed like 2.5 million bees down there in South Carolina this week?
No, I didn't.
They're spraying for the Zika virus, and they're busy chewing on straw and playing with their hat and their barefooted dog or whatever the hell they got going on down there. Hey, go spray them 15 acres with all that Zika virus stuff. What? All these bees are up, buzzing around.
Wow. I mean, we're so disconnected out here. Like, we got no TV, very little power, almost no internet or cell phone service. So for us, If it isn't on NPR radio, we don't. I mean, and we don't happen to catch it between 15-minute break here or there. We don't even hear about it. I can personally do that, but we don't. I just usually grab the matches and fill a newspaper and I start it that way.
Because even the Neanderthals could figure out how to make fire and carry it around.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, out there on the hemp farm, it seems like it sometimes is clothing optional. Is that the deal?
Yeah, sometimes clothing is optional. I would suggest this time of year that it be optional, as in, yes, I need clothing because it's pretty cold. Like right now, it's about 55 degrees out here right now.
So you're saying your brights are on?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just my way of putting it, I guess. So now, now what do you do in the fall there? I know you've been busy trying to make sure that you're prepared for the winter season as it comes along. Now, do you have a backup home? It seems like last winter you took off out of the farm there.
Yep. So the season starts March 1st this year. Well, the last two seasons have been March 1st through December 1st. Next year will be May 1st through December 1st. We're going to be able to shave a couple months off of the next season because we've got far along enough in our progress here that we can cut the season down to 6 months now. But I do go home. I do have a house in Rockford, but we're in the process of buying the farm across the street. If this doesn't go through in the next couple weeks, then we'll end up buying a house that's close to here so that we can drive our tractor back and forth from this farm to our other house.
So it's not like you had to raise food for the winter to carry it through in the shack for the you got.
No, not at all.
It's not,
But let me point something out, though. We will harvest enough meat this year that we have enough meat already that we will not buy any more meat from the grocery store for another whole year.
You had a lot of chickens and a lot of rabbits, yes?
Chickens, rabbits. We got probably about 500 pounds of hog we're going to be harvesting here. Wow. We'll have another 600 to 800 pounds of venison, 200 pounds of goose, probably 200 or 300 pounds of salmon. I mean, we'll have almost 1,000 pounds of meat in the freezer for the winter.
That's just incredible. You're truly blessed in that department, Joe.
Man, I can't wait till we do it all the way around, though, to where we got all our fruits and veggies covered the same way, and we don't have to shop at the store for anything but ketchup and mustard and things like that.
So the season of wrestling the trout in the naked underwear is over with pretty much at this point.
Yeah. Now it's time to get bundle up like a bear and get ready for the cold.
Well, you said you got some deer blinds up, yes?
Oh yeah, deer blinds are up. We've been goose hunting the last couple of days out here. We haven't got a goose yet, but we're seeing lots of birds. It's just a matter of time, and we only need 20 birds. 20 birds, geese. That gets us through a whole year.
What about pheasant? Do you do any pheasant hunting out here?
No, not out here. There's not a good pheasant hunting where I'm at. There's a lot of turkeys.
Turkeys
and
are crazy.
A lot of deer.
Turkeys go up and down in population. It seems like, when there's a lot of coons and a lot of possums, the turkeys disappear, and then they make this huge resurgence.
Oh, yeah.
And lately, because I don't know if anybody's ever had practical experience with a wild turkey, but you don't want to screw with a wild turkey. He'll scissor you to death.
You know something I wanted to talk to you about last time you guys called is, we do our balm, and we got our hemp balm, and the FDA has told us that they do not want to see milligrams on industrial hemp products anymore. And pursuant to section, I can't even think of it, but basically, if you're not a supplement company, you can't use milligrams on your advertising or on your labels or packaging.
Wow!
And
this is basically like saying, so you can't say how many milligrams are actually of a certain substance are actually in the product, because that seems
No.
That seems a little antithetical to what people want in consumer packaging. Like, do you still get to list it in order of its its contents? You know, in other words, they usually put the ingredients on there.
Oh, yeah, everything has to be there like that. But what they don't want is milligrams specifically. And I'll tell you why. It is, and this is just my opinion, and you know, whether you agree or disagree, this is we base our corporate policy on this, but we do business. But it's like this. We used to put milligrams on there so customers would know how many milligrams of a certain cannabinoid would be present in that product and guarantee it. Well, without having a supplement license, you can't do that according to them. Now, this is where I think they're going with this. Is they're going to have they can't have marijuana companies. They're trying to slow down the marijuana thing. Now, see, we're a hemp company, but you got to remember everything that we're doing in hemp. They're always going to take a second look at it and treat it like pot when it comes to the government. 9 times out of 10, this is the mentality they have, this prohibition thinking or methodology. So they put a snag in the road simply by getting the FDA and the USDA involved about a month ago in Colorado, and they said, look, you can't have milligrams in your stuff, and they're telling the Colorado people they can't ship hemp out of the state. Have you heard anything about that?
Wait a minute. They're not allowed to. It's got a dirty pot. Hang on.
Yeah.
Wait. It's a dirty pot up. It's a dirty pot. Hang on. It's a dirty pot. Hang on. We got to fix the. Hang on. Hold a second. Hang on. There. It's clean now. I think it's clean. All right. Sorry about that. I couldn't say anything because we had a dirty pot in the way.
No worries.
Had to clean it. So, I hate that dirty pot. You don't want dirty pot. No stems, no seeds, no nothing you don't need. You know what I mean? Are you feeling me?
I don't want none of that. Yeah, exactly. That's not how God intended it. God wants it to be beautiful, crispy flowers.
Yes.
The stinkier, the better.
Bring that harvest to its finest. I mean, you don't pick a peach before it's ripe unless you're one of those.
No.
Unless you're shipping it from Grenada and it's got to come all the way.
Yeah, that's different though. They let it rot in the box before it gets to you.
Yeah, well, it's some of that stuff. Like by the time you get it, like I don't know if you've been to the market, but I bought some produce like at the Walmarts before, and they have a produce guarantee. So I suppose I've never brought. How do you bring a half-eaten peach back and go? You know what? I'm just not going to do that. But I bought some produce.
Let me say something.
Wait.
Oh, sorry.
Let me finish. So I bought the produce, and it's usually I'll buy like a nectarine or like a peach, something in that neighborhood when it's out of season and it's got to come from another country. They'll have picked it so early that it's still hard when you look at it, and it's nice and pretty. But then you take it home and you try and let it ripen, and it just shrivels, or it gets real spongy, or it's never juicy. It's just terrible.
Pissy. That's what I would say. Pissy.
Yeah, you got to have
real nasty tasting. It doesn't taste like it's supposed to. Fake almost.
Well, it's because it was propped up and picked way too early. It needed to be like a couple weeks later before you picked it, but they're shipping it in those crazy cargo ships, and I don't know. How long has that thing been off the tree before you actually get the chance to eat it?
It's scary. Sometimes 6 weeks.
Yeah, see, that's a long time. That's a really long time.
Most of the eggs you buy at the grocery store are already 6 weeks old before you get them.
Yeah, see, that's also, you can't put farm fresh on there and expect me to buy it. I'm not buying it. Plus, you got all the crazy antibiotics in there. There's probably some Zika in there somewhere. Who knows? There certainly are.
Well, here's why. It's simple for us. If we see it, and we see where it comes from, and we know where the food was grown at or harvested, the animals raised, and we know the people, will eat it. Right. If we don't know, then we don't eat it.
So back to Butters. I got to finish off with Butters.
Yeah.
So we figured out the parental lineage. How many offspring has Butters created, given his horny goat nature?
2 babies now. He's got Sweetie, and he's a buck, and then there's Deuce, which he's down at our Kentucky farm down there at my Uncle Dwayne's house.
Oh, you shipped him out of state?
Yeah, well, that's tradition. Uncle Dwayne gave us Butters. So we were supposed to get him our first buck, kind of like with pit bulls, or dog trading. They kind of do the same thing. So
that hey, I'll give you one, but you got to give me first offspring.
Yup, the first one. I want the first cut.
What happens? What happens if the succession of offspring doesn't happen or doesn't work?
Well, unfortunately, I didn't have to cross that bridge because we had babies, but I'm sure there would have to be some kind of arrangement made.
Right, you'd have to somehow pay for the. Oh, I got a dirty pot.
Yeah, I'd have to pay for the goat. Yeah,
you
can't just get free stuff.
Well,
not a goat. You know what I mean? It's one thing to give somebody a dime sack because you feel like they need it, but to give them a prize-winning blue ribbon goat like Butters, no way.
So how long you expect you're going to have Butters for? I mean, I don't even know how long.
5 years.
5-year goats. That's how long you get them for.
Butters is he's our buck, our stud. So we'll have him 5 years.
Is that how long a goat's good for? I mean,
he might live till he's 10, but at our farm, he's only going to live till he's 5.
Oh, okay.
He's only going to live till he's 5 because we eat all our animals here, but we love them. And they live a great life here. I mean, this is most animals would love to live here, but at the end of the road is he's going to be in my belly.
Well, I didn't know this was the case. I thought Butters was a family pet. I had no idea that he was really tomorrow's dinner.
Well, he's dinner 5 years from now, if he makes it that long,
Depends on how lean the winters get, right, Joe?
Yeah, it really does. Really does.
Butters might be served with his namesake.
He better hope this hemp keeps coming in,
So when Butters bucks you with the horns, if he gets thorns you in the side with the horns, because that's what they do, they'll knock you across the room if you're not looking. You got a second chance later at getting back at him. Is that what you're saying, Joe?
Yeah, exactly. I owe him a bunch. But really, it's really hard to take him.
Joe, just so you understand, we're at the end of the show. The music's playing. Real quick, are you doing anything for the holiday weekend? Real quick.
I'm here all weekend. Stop by.
All right, brother. You have a great holiday weekend, and you people out there listening, appreciate you tuning into the Full Melt Show. Until then, I'm Steve Green for Mad Blaster. Good night.
The Full Melt Show is a production of TFM Media.